All right, next we have Iowa, also at 8.5. This one was a little tougher for me. This feels like a pretty good line for Iowa. They have some returning starters at quarterback and running back. Spencer Petras, their Petrus. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Petrus. Yes.
Petrus. I apologize. Their quarterback, not amazing last year. Kind of whatever. We'll see what he can do in his second year as a starter. Tyler Goodson, the running back, was pretty good. So I do think there's some talent there. Again, Iowa feels a little bit like Wisconsin. They're always going to have a good offensive line. Tyler Linderbaum is one of the best centers in the country. Uh, they're they just feel like they're a consistent, decent on offense. Based on their offensive line and their tight end play, and just trying not to suck at the other positions. And you trust their defense usually. I trust their defense. Last year they were number 6 in the country scoring wise. So it's a really solid team. Nothing flashy, nothing ridiculous, but 8.5 is a good line for them, I believe.
I think it's actually a little low. I like Iowa this year. I've already said that. And the reason, so for any first year starting quarterback, last year was the worst year to do it. You weren't allowed to be meeting in person with people. I think that's a lot of, for me, that's a lot of their what happened with them. I think having just a full spring, all the spring practice, you're going to have summer ball, and then your fall practice right leading up to the season. That's invaluable for kids, and just to not have really much of anything, a lot of video conferencing, and just not being able to be in person, especially for a first year quarterback, I think it's a really big deal. And yeah, so you mentioned Spencer Petras. That's I think the guy. There is still a quarterback competition though.
Okay.
That has not really been exactly nailed down. There's Deuce Hogan is one guy, and Alex Padilla. If I'm saying that right, I apologize. But there's 2 more guys that kind of challenging him. I think a lot of people just assumed that they would just keep the starter they had in the last year. So yeah, no, there is still a challenge there. It does feel like it will be Spencer Petras. So but I think the prevailing thing around there, and this is a question maybe I just wanted to just to ask you, is there any, in your mind, is there any credence to all the stuff that has swirled around there and around their whole program, kind of even the university, with some of the racist issues that they've had? So some of the baggage, I don't really know what to call it. It's just some of the baggage that has been circling around Iowa and Kirk Ferentz for a while now. It's been several different players that have come after they've left and have said that they didn't have a great experience. It wasn't a great experience. For you, what does that mean to you?
It's a really good question, and it's so hard to figure out the answer to a question like that. How do you even define culture? It's a really hard question. Those of us that are on the outside, it's hard for us to even look into that and see what happened. He did fire the offensive line coach. Seemed like he was the main person behind a lot of that, and it does sound like they were working to work with players and figure out what they were doing that they needed to change. And the fact is, like, college football, most of it comes down to the players. And if your players are unhappy, it's going to hurt your team in a big way, probably bigger than anything else. And so I credit them for listening to the players, assuming they actually are doing so. I do think that Ferentz has built up enough goodwill there, and there's a clear plan for success there, and a clear line for, you can come here and be successful at Iowa. We'll take care of you. We'll develop you. If you're good enough, we'll put you in the NFL. It's not like we're going to ruin your talent. I do think that they'll get through this. I don't think this is like a career-ending thing for Ferentz. As long as he's willing to change where needed, while not losing the core identity of the program. They're known for their hard work and all of that. And I do think they're a good program. Do you have thoughts on this subject?
I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit, but kind of maybe just to echo what you said, how do you know if it's just 1 or 2 or 3 unhappy players that weren't able to play and on their way out decided just to try to burn the place down a little bit, if it, so to speak. So how do you know if it's that or if there really is a problem there? From an outside perspective, which me and you both are, it would feel almost like where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
But as you continue to kind of look into it a little bit more, there's going to be disgruntled players at every university. There's going to be some of that. And especially with the climate that we have now, that's an easy thing. And especially in a place like Iowa, in that city there in Iowa City, it's a place where it's easy for a young black man to say that he was not treated well. And a lot of people would listen to it, given just the demographics of what's around. So yes, no, Ferentz, still believe in Ferentz. I don't think this is going to be an issue. He's, I think, the longest tenured coach in the Big Ten. He's not going to go anywhere. He's going to be there for probably a little while longer because they consistently do win football games. That is one thing that they do. They have kind of almost the Wisconsin mentality a little bit of that we're going to attack you with a system, and we're going to have NFL tight ends. They have mainly tight ends. Let's be honest, that's who they throw to. But no, there's I think there's a lot of talent there. I have them going over. I think they will, like I've mentioned before in the pod, I think they'll go play Ohio State. They'll get beat by a bunch, but they will play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship this year. And I think a lot of that's to Ferentz's credit.
Yeah, I like the bold call there. I'm not as bullish on them as you are. I do like the over, just barely. This is not one I would actually bet with my own real money. Neither should you out there, unless Ashton is more confident than me. You can maybe listen to him. I do think they're a good team, and like I mentioned with Wisconsin, and you even mentioned that they're a little bit similar, but it does feel like kind of a personnel independent system, and there's no such thing in reality, but they're about as close as you can get to that sort of system. So I do think they're a good team. I do think they're going to have a good season, especially because of their defense. If you can have solid offense and a really elite defense, I think that can get you to 9 wins. So I'm on the over as well.